An update is coming, and I've got the inside scoop, like an ice cream scoop. Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime, and it is time to brawl. For today's video, we are going to be looking into the minds of the Supercell developers, and we're going to be predicting everything coming in this next update. Sorry guys, I'm not a mind reader. I can't read their minds. So how else could I have predicted so many past Brawl Stars updates? Okay, no, I'm kind of just messing with you guys. But Supercell left us some really big hints, some clues that I think that I've uncovered to be able to answer some questions like, what is the next brawler going to be? Like, I have a really good idea of that. Plus, there's some really exciting stuff that I think is coming to Brawl Stars that I'm going to talk about at the end of this video, so make sure you guys watch the whole thing. Now, before we do get started, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to all of you who gave me so much support in my most recent video. If you know what I'm talking about, well, then you know. And if you don't, that's fine. You guys should subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. Make sure you turn on the notification bell as well for update sneak peeks and other awesome Brawl Stars content. I'm getting really close to 700,000 subscribers, so your support would be really awesome. Okay. Brawl Stars update, guys. Now, at the time of recording this, Season 5 of the Brawl Pass is set to expire in 10 days, which means that we're pretty much guaranteed an update in the next week. I'm pretty sure I know the exact date that we're gonna get Brawl Talk. April 3rd, guys. And I'm confident. Now, why do I say April 3rd? Well, obviously the timing for the end of Season 5 of the Brawl Pass means that we need a Brawl Talk this weekend so that they could get the game updated before the next season. And the last Brawl Talk was released on a Saturday, so April 3rd, the Saturday, makes sense. But Supercell also kind of just told us when Brawl Talk is going to be happening. Supercell recently put this image out on their social media platforms. Colette's dancing to Edgar singing, and I'm fairly certain that they're actually singing a My Chemical Romance song titled Helena, So Long and Good Night, because Brawl Stars titled this post So Long and Good Night. And it's pretty obvious that Edgar is heavily inspired by emo bands like My Chemical Romance. If you take a look at the lower right hand corner of the screen, you'll notice a note inside a safe with a 304 signed B. Now, that's clearly the 3rd of April because that's exactly how they do dates in Europe. In fact, the United States is actually backwards in comparison to most places in the world. And that's exactly why I think it's obvious that Brawl Talk is happening on April 3rd. But what I'm really curious about is the fact that it is signed by B. This could obviously be from any of the brawlers whose name starts with B. Byron, B, BB, Bo, Bull, or maybe even Barley. After all, there's plenty of Barley merchandise on the shelves, right? But I don't think that that's it. I think it is pretty obvious that this is a clue of what the next brawler is going to be. In fact, not just that their name starts with B, I'm going to tell you what I think their name is going to be. It's a guess, but it's legit. Now, there are currently 4 brawler trios that need to be completed. There's obviously the possibility that Brawl Stars might release a brawler with a new trio, but I think it's far more likely that they'll do a brawler from one of the existing trios. First of all, we have the Star Force trio with Colonel Ruffs. Maybe we'll get Kit the Cat or Cluck the Chicken, and both of those I talked about in previous videos. Or maybe we'll actually finally see Gil put into the game. After all, Gil was alongside Colonel Ruffs as one of the most fleshed out Project Laser brawlers with his portable black hole way back when the game was in its sci-fi phase. We also might get a superhero brawler like Ray that I've speculated to complete Max's and Surge's trio. Then there's Stu's trio, which I'm not 100% certain of the theme yet. We already have a Mex and Entertainer trio confirmed by Supercell to be Amber, Poco, and El Primo. So maybe we'll get a different set of entertainers because Stu's kind of an entertainer. Maybe we'll get 2 other Crash dummy bots or something like that. I don't know. Maybe we'll get like a magician or a lion tamer, maybe even a rock band singer or a circus clown. Other things that could kind of go along with the entertaining trio of a Crash dummy. However, what I think is far more likely is that we're going to get a brawler to complete the Star Park gift shop trio with Colette and Edgar. And it's pretty obvious why, right? This is Star Park gift shop that they're dancing around in, and you know, they've got a note from somebody else that is going to be their trio, right? Telling them something important. And I've been thinking a lot about what this 3rd brawler could be for the gift shop trio, and Supercell gave us a huge hint that I haven't seen anybody else guess this, right? And this is big. I'm talking about Edgar's tie in this image. Edgar does not wear a tie in Brawl Stars. Comparing Colette's and Edgar's outfits makes it very clear that the Star Park gift shop employee dress code does not include a tie, only a red vest. Additionally, Brawl Stars included an emoji of a necktie in their social media post, which is another really big hint that this tie is important. I think this tie belongs to the next brawler coming to Brawl Stars, also known as B, also known as the owner of the Star Park gift shop, also known as Boss. Let's all welcome Boss to Brawl Stars. All right. Now, obviously, Boss is just a concept brawler that I think would fit really perfectly in Brawl Stars. And a big thank you to FreeFGP for coming up with the concept artwork for this video. But I would not be surprised if something very similar to this actually was put into the game with the name of Boss. Boss is a greedy brawler who's obsessed with money and power. He's a bit more tanky than other brawlers, probably because he's a little gluttonous as well, but don't let his weight fool you because he's actually pretty quick, okay? The idea behind Boss is that he is a close range brawler that normally fights with his big fists. However, for his super, his necktie stretches out and pulls him toward whatever it hits. If it hits a wall, it pulls him to that wall. It could also be used to pull him to a teammate, and if it hit an enemy, Boss could slam onto them and deal damage. The trick is though with Boss is that if his super hits anything, whether it's a wall, a friendly player, or an enemy, it would recharge his super immediately. But if he misses with his super and it just hits air, then he'd have to recharge his super through normal means, and he's got a very short range, so that's kind of difficult. Now, chances are we'll get a very different brawler for this update. Probably not going to look exactly like this. Might not even be named Boss, right? However, I also think there's a really good chance that we'll get a brawler someday in the future whose super will recharge if it hits. It's just such a fun mechanic. In a lot of other games like Brawl Stars, they'd be crazy not to implement it. I'm also counting on Supercell creating a brawler that has an attack or a super that pulls that brawler to an enemy that it hits. That's another mechanic that I would not be surprised at all if they put into the game because it's such a fun one in other games like Brawl Stars. Now, I would be shocked if the next brawler did not have a tie. It's just like, those are two very obvious hints that the next brawler is going to have a tie, and I think it's important, so I'm counting on that. And honestly, I think that the next brawler is probably going to complete the gift shop trio. In fact, there's a really good chance that I think that he's going to be the boss of Edgar and Colette, or he'll be the owner of the Star Park gift shop. And the whole reason why is, why else would somebody leave Edgar and Colette a note and sign it B, right? It's like, hey, it's a reminder. It's like, hey guys, boss. And I'm confidently saying this, so just watch me be completely wrong. By the way, Supercell also released this image with the arrival of Stu's second gadget. Now, I scoured it for update hints, and I didn't find anything. A lot of people did notice the :NT, which seems to mean something important because of this sign, and the fact that Stu had model NT printed on him. I don't think that has anything to do with the next update. You see, Stu's name is obviously STU, and if you add NT at the end of it, it spells out stunt. What I think this is doing, it's revealing a little bit more about the lore behind Brawl Stars, okay? And I think that all of the bots in Star Park have a different model name. Stu's model name just happens to be NT, which is kind of cool. So some of the bots are rooting for Stu, some of the bots are rooting for NT, which just all happens to be the same thing. Okay, now we've talked about the new brawler. Now let's talk about everything else that I think we're going to be getting in this update. Obviously, we're getting Season 6 of the Brawl Pass. I honestly don't think that the theme of the new brawler is going to be the same theme as the Brawl Pass. I really think that we're getting a gift shop brawler, and the gift shop environment was released during the 3rd Brawl Pass season, Welcome to Star Park, where we got Colette. And although most of the chromatic brawlers were themed after their Brawl Pass, not everyone was. In fact, the first Brawl Pass season was Terra's Bazaar, and that's when we got Gale, who belongs to the Snow Tell. And for that case, Gale was made to fit the pass with his Merchant Gale skin. So what the next Brawl Pass theme could be, it could be honestly any of the trios currently in the game that we haven't had a Brawl Pass for. We could get a Gem Mountain Brawl Pass for the Miner Trio. We could get a Pirate Plunder Brawl Pass for the Pirate Trio. We could even get a Junkyard Jamboree Brawl Pass for the Junker Family Trio. Honestly though, I think there are 2 trios that are most likely to have a Brawl Pass themed after them, and that would be the Wild West Trio, Colt, Spike, and Shelly. I think they're very likely because we still have not seen this Ferris wheel, right? We know this is important in the loading screen, the original Brawl Stars loading screen. We haven't seen it, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Wild West area got revamped and we saw this Ferris wheel for the first time. And I also think that the Nature Trio of Bee, Rosa, and Sprout would also be very likely to be included. And the reason being for them as well, once again, the jungle environments were, and also the Wild West environments were old from way back when Brawl Stars was first launched, and they need to be remade to fit the theme park concept that we now know is Star Park. Now, there are a few things that we're pretty much guaranteed to get in this update. New skins is pretty much a given. Balance changes is pretty much a given. I'm also pretty much counting on some of the brawler pins getting animated since they've been animating a few each update. And I would not be surprised at all if we got second gadgets for more of the brawlers since we didn't get any in the last update. Then of course we know for a fact that we will be getting Hot Zone and Siege added to the map maker. Now Frank announced on Twitter that they had originally planned to put that in the map maker this update. However, they had to spend more time squashing some bugs in Power League than they expected. Plus Plus, they added some additional developer time, adding penalties to Power League, which is a big reason why they haven't been able to take the time to add Hot Zone and Siege into the map maker like they originally hoped this update. I also think there's a really good chance we'll be getting some improvements to Power League with this update. I did a 100% honest update review on Power League, and I was kind of surprised. It was kind of cool to see that Brawl Stars themselves, the official Brawl Stars YouTube channel, commented on it and responded that a lot of the ideas were solid. Not that they would do everything, and it didn't promise that we would get all of the changes that I suggested, but I think there were a few ideas that would be worth putting into the game. I mentioned being able to report players after giving up for a loss or like toxic behavior. I also mentioned an honor ranking system where you could give people honor points for being enjoyable to play with. And then I mentioned wanting to be able to suggest brawlers to teammates for them to ban or to pick while playing Power League. I also asked for more clarity on how much progression we're getting for each win and loss. And another idea that I actually did not mention in that video was that in non-perfect matchmaking situations where you have like people of different ranks in the same match, where they would make it so that the points that you gain in solos would be dependent on the highest ranking enemy, and the amount of points that you lose would be dependent on the lowest ranking enemy. This would make it so that you would gain more and lose less in these unfair situations, and also add a little bit more progression and make it feel a little bit better, right? Now, another concern I brought up was that players were selecting brawlers that were really low power level, right? They get Stu, they hear that Stu's awesome, so they select power levels 1 Stu, and then you lose because, well, power level 1 Stu's not nearly as good as a power level 10, right? Now, my suggestion was either to make it so that only brawlers at level 7 with their gadget and up could be played, or just for Supercell to make it so that all brawlers are automatically maxed out. Now, I don't think Brawl Stars is going to implement these suggestions to Power League immediately. I think that these are going to take a little bit of time, and they might even take a different route than the suggestions I made. After all, they're the developers. They're better at coming up with the right solutions to problems, and they might even come up with something completely different to Power League than what I suggested. But I would not be surprised to see some changes this update, and maybe even some of these in the future. Now, there's one final thing that I think we could be expecting sometime in the near future for Brawl Stars, and I don't think this is going to be immediate, but there's something big going to be happening in Brawl Stars, and it's going to be all about Brawl Stars lore and Star Park. You see, when Brawl Stars commented on my 100% honest update review video, you'll actually notice that they signed their comment with Spewed. Now, if you don't know what Spewed is, I highly recommend watching my Brawl Theory video series. We don't know exactly what Spewed is for sure, but my theory, which I think is really solid, is that it stands for Star Park Union of Distressed Employees. We also don't know why Brawl Stars decided to sign this comment on behalf of Spewed, but I think that it would be suggesting that we're going to be getting some information on Star Park in the near-ish future. After all, the WKBRL live stream, which is where we got a lot of information about Star Park, originally started streaming on April 17th of last year, and there's been several hints over the past year pointing back to that date. The anniversary of that date, April 17th, is coming up, and I think one of two things are going to happen on that date. You probably already know that the same message has been broadcasted on that stream for the past several months. We already told you this is normal. I think the most likely thing to happen on April 17th is that stream will start picking up, and that message will stop, and we'll start getting new information from the stream. Now, the second likely thing to happen is that live stream will end on April 17th, signifying that Spewed is going to try to communicate with us through different means. Maybe the starpark.biz website or something else, right? Whatever happens, I don't think it's going to be a big change at first, and I don't think that it will happen with this Brawl Stars update. But I do think that things are going to start building up around April 17th, and then eventually we'll have another really big reveal sometime around the summer of this year. But hey, that's just... wait, this isn't a Brawl Theory video. By the way, I've already recorded the next Brawl Theory video, so make sure you guys subscribe for that. It's going to be a good one. Also, of course, you're going to want to subscribe for more information on this update. As soon as Supercell lets me, they will be giving me early access. I will be doing sneak peeks for it, guys, so just hang on tight. Don't forget to use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop, guys. It's going, especially with this Brawl Pass that's coming up, it will go a long way in helping support my channel. And also, make sure you guys check out the videos that are over here, right? I've got some cool videos going on there for you guys to watch right now that this video's over. Anyways, guys, for now, this is KairosTime ticking by. We will see you in Brawl Stars.